value for money, quality, function, technology that the Chinese EV car owns and have the advantage over competitors like BMW or Mercedes-Benz or Tesla.
Hello and welcome to the Auto Ethnographer. I'm John Stech, your host on this journey. We travel the globe to bring you stories about culture and the global automotive industry. Fasten your seatbelt and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Auto Ethnographer. Today we have the third part of a four-part series on marketing and consumer trends in China. Last week, we explored China's cultural soft power and how Chinese brands are being perceived abroad. Today, we're going to turn our attention to the rise of Chinese new energy vehicles, or electric vehicles, as they're known outside of China. This is, after all, an automotive-related podcast. Guiding us through these four episodes is Grace Mou, a trend forecaster and brand strategist whose career has mirrored and shaped China's extraordinary transformation over the past 2 decades. Born and raised in mainland China, Grace began as an English teacher in Chongqing before moving to Shanghai. She's worked with global brands like Coca-Cola, Lego, Ferrari, and LVMH, as well as rising Chinese challengers, helping them navigate China's fast-evolving consumer landscape. Grace is known for spotting the signals in the market that matter and turning complexity into clarity. You can read all about that in her weekly blog, the link to which is going to be found in the show notes. Grace, hello and welcome back to the show.
Thank you, John, for having me today.
Of course, today's topic is one that's close to my heart, and I know you put a lot of thought into it as well, which is the automotive industry and specifically the rise of the new energy vehicles in China.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that topic a little bit. Just looking at the background, until just 2-3 years ago, international brands had the majority of market share in China, and they've lost that now. They're down to about 35 or 40%. And even 50% of cars sold in China are new energy vehicles, electric vehicles today. This is an incredible shift over the past 5 years, something that I think has stunned all of the automakers from around the world. And let's try to unravel a little bit today. How did that happen? And more specifically, why did that happen? What's going on in the mind of the Chinese consumer?
Here is one thing I need to clarify at the very first beginning. Chinese people buy Chinese EV cars not out of patriotism, but because the Chinese EV cars are super good on functional and technology as well as on design. So they buy it for themselves, not for the government or the national pride. That is one thing I have to clarify very clearly here.
So it's really a rational decision that they take, not a nationalistic or patriotic decision.
No, nothing is not a patriotic decision. It's a really personal decision based on value for money, quality, function, technology that the Chinese EV car owns and have the advantage over competitors like BMW or Mercedes-Benz or Tesla.
Let's look at those items a little bit one at a time. So you mentioned, for example, the price competitiveness, the value. How does that situation look? Can you explain a little bit about what's going through the mind of a consumer when they look at the pricing? And how much is the pricing an advantage for the local Chinese brands?
Let me just use my personal example to tell the story of China EV cars and the Chinese consumer, how Chinese consumer shift their preference for the local players. My sister and her husband just recently purchased a local EV car called Avatr. And they used to be the loyal user of Ford, American brand, auto brand Ford. They are loyal Ford users, and they purchased two Ford cars before, but they just converted to the local brand called Avatr. Avatr, I have been in their car and they just drive me around in this new car, and I experienced it. It is a fantastic driving experience and very comfortable. The seats are very comfortable and with very advanced technology. When you sit in the cars, you only just talk to your car like a person, and they can just finish all the task you assigned to the car. So it is like a person, not like a machine. So that is a very amazing experience when I just sitting in the car and the back seat, and while they are driving me around in the city. So if you just look at the history and the background of Avatr, and you understand why the Chinese people converted to the local players, first, they have the very good design, and you can see the very international standard design, and they have the R&D centers in Shanghai as well as in Germany, and Avatr also was supported by catl, that advanced battery brand in China, catl 宁德时代, and catl is a second largest shareholder of Avatr as well, and also Huawei provides the advanced technology support to this car. And when it comes to the price, the car range for Avatr is between 37,000 to 59,000 USD. And this price is quite aggressive and compared to the international competitors, which cannot provide the same level of advanced technology. Even Tesla cannot. So Chinese local players are very competitive on price, as unregard of the technology function they offer. So why not choose a local player? So if I'm an ordinary consumer, I will definitely convert to Chinese EV brand rather than those international names.
It is a very compelling argument to buy this particular car when you think that catl, or catl, as some people may know it, is a worldwide and world-renowned brand manufacturing batteries for many different purposes, especially automotive. And then Huawei is essentially like an Apple of China.
Yes.
Correct? So you
Yes.
put those two together, and you have state-of-the-art technology that's driving this car.
Yeah. So Chinese EV car is more, as I just mentioned, they more act like a person, very intelligent person. When you just drive the car, you are interact with an intelligent person instead of machine. That's an experience which cannot be replicated by the global players right now. So I think considering this and the price range, it is a very reasonable choice, right?
And what kind of functions does the car have when you talk to it? What kind of functions and features? I understand that some brands have the ability that you can organize your calendar, you can go shopping, you can interact with things in your home. Is that something that's among the features that attracted your sister and brother?
And there are two functions I noticed when I was sitting in their car when they were driving. And one thing is that the car can just auto driving without your control. And especially my sister is not a very good driver. He cannot stop the car correctly into the pit. So she needs the car to do it by itself. So that is autopilot car can just stop them into the right place, park them into the right place. So that's one function my sister love to use. And the other one is that they can design the routes. You just talk to them, and I want to go to that place. They will just give you design the routes in the best way, and they can. Even though they are very intelligent, and I don't understand what is behind this technology. Very intelligent. It means a person is talking to you.
It sounds quite amazing and quite compelling. I could understand why people would be drawn to this technology. I have a question for those listeners who have not been to China. The traffic in China, for example, what would you experience if you were outside driving a car in Shanghai, where you live? You know, people imagine that there is endless traffic jams in China in the big cities. Is that one of the advantages of these cars, that they have so many features built in, including entertainment, because
Yes.
of the traffic?
Yes, entertainment is a big factor that those EV cars have advantage over global competitors. We just talk to the car please play what music and choose what music and give me a song playlist. They will just automatically do all these kind of things and play the songs for you. And that is exactly what you want. So very intelligent. It's like your DJ.
And last week in the podcast, we talked about the rise of the vertical drama and companies like DramaBox. Is this something that can also be watched in the car?
I think that is workable. And I didn't watch and the vertical drama right now during the car, but that is workable. The technology can solve this bug easily.
So that it brings together some of the different aspects of
Yes.
what the consumer loves. They have to go from one place to another in the car, and they could potentially have the entertainment, including the vertical dramas, right there with them.
Yeah. And aside from the technology part and the car, the seat were far more comfortable than the seat I just of the Ford cars. I once was there, and the chair was so big, and you just when you sit in the chair, and it just is so comfortable, and you almost fall asleep when you sit in the chair, and the space is so big and so spacious. The inside of the car is so spacious, and you have a very comfortable experience when you're sitting in the car or you drive in the car. So much better than the experience when I sitting in the Ford car. So that's my experience, personal understanding.
So, contrary to what people outside of China might think, the Chinese consumer is really rational. They're looking at superior technology in their eyes. They're looking at quality vehicles with comfort and a beautiful modern international styling. So it's a truly rational decision, not a decision driven purely by patriotism.
You are absolutely right. I think you wrap up correctly what I said. It is true that they are quite rational. They made rational decisions when purchase a car, and it is out of the consideration of the affordable price for high technology and comfortable driving and sitting experience or so on. So that's true.
Now, on the parallel to the electric vehicle or the new energy vehicle, of course, you have to charge them. And it's
Yeah.
impossible to have a conversation about these cars without talking about how do you fuel them or charge them. You and I in the past have talked briefly about your impressions of charging and some of the technology that's available. You mentioned at that time BYD and a fast charging feature.
Yes, I think that's amazing because the revolutions in battery technology and the faster charging is upending the whole industry. So China is a dominant player in the battery and the charging technology. So I was amazed. And as we just mentioned, the new beyond BYD model will be capable of receiving peak charging power of 1,000 kilowatts, enable them to travel 400 kilometers on a 5-minute charge. So you can say how fast the technology advanced in the past years. And nobody can compete with the Chinese local players on battery technology and faster charging technology. That's amazing.
No, that's an incredible technological feat. I
Mm.
think that is as they say, the holy grail for most EV companies is to have fast charging that's almost the same time as fueling a traditional internal combustion vehicle with gasoline or with diesel.
And the charging technology make it possible for EVs to charge as quickly as it takes to refill with petrol. So the EV becomes the future. If you don't buy an EV, you are just a lag behind the future.
Absolutely, it sounds that way to me. Of course, with more than half of the market now uh, being the sales being electric vehicles, there have to be a lot of charging stations. Are these typically found in the homes, in the parking garages of the apartment buildings, or is it street side? Where do people charge their cars?
And I used to think it would be difficult for people to find the station to charge their cars, but that's not the truth. When I just was in the EV cars with my sister's family, they can charge their cars just downstairs of their apartment. That's very convenient. And the one thing, aside of the stations to charge your car, the battery technology is a key that the Chinese EV players are so competitive in the market. China's advantage in raw materials, labor costs, and vertical integration has made competing on price with China almost impossible. So the battery technology is dominated by Chinese battery
Mhm.
players like catl. They just dominate the battery technology. Nobody can compete with them because they just is uncompetitive. It cannot be compete on the price and the technology currently. And China just dominates the vertical integration.
So we've talked about the actual product, the technology, the charging, the you just mentioned the vertical integration, which leads to an advantage in pricing. What about branding? This is your field of expertise. Um, the brands that are known internationally, like Neo, BYD, Xpeng, what can you say about the brands and how they've developed themselves locally to Chinese consumers? Is there anything that stands out about the branding?
Actually, that is a pity. Compared with technology advancements, the branding building is quite lagged behind. And I don't think the brands invest a lot in their brand building. but put all their money in the technology advancement. So that's a pity because they can, if they invest a lot of money and they invest the proper money in the brand building, they can just gain a lot of market share from the overseas market, because for the overseas market, the audience outside of China would love to buy brand rather than before advanced technology. They want to first have the trust in the brand before they invest the money in the technology. So I certainly wish that the Chinese local players can just refocus on brand building rather than put all their money in one basket.
Now that sounds like for them, for the Chinese players, a good word of advice, both for the local markets and especially as they move outside of Chinese borders into Europe or other parts of the world. That brand building is something that should be higher on their priority list.
Yes, at this moment, I want to just talk more about this. At this moment, you can win the market share by your advanced technology and the affordable price. That is only a short term. The why a brand can just be a can the brand building is not about the short term games. It's a long term version. If you want your brand to thrive and really just become icon brand like a Mercedes-Benz or Mercedes-Benz and the German brand, car brand in the history, you have to just rethink how to put money in the brand building to win the trust of the local consumers. So that's a long-term vision, and they need to just refocus.
I agree with you. That takes a long time to build a brand. Of course, you have to have action and have proof points that your brand supports what you actually do.
So that is one thing. The Chinese local EV players have achieved a lot. At this moment, they should be humble and not be complacent about their achievement right now. They should put their eye on the future. So win the trust of the overseas audience takes time and patience. And the brand image is also very important as an asset of your brand equity. So you have to invest on that part as well.
It's interesting how you put this into perspective, because it sounds like the foreign brands in China are in exactly the opposite position. They have a long brand history, and they also have a long history in China. But it sounds like their brand is in place, but their technology is not in place, and their value is not in place, at least for the Chinese consumer in this moment.
Yes, I think they can learn from each other how to just complement. Maybe the international players like those Mercedes-Benz and the VW can learn from Chinese players, and the Chinese local players can also learn from global competitors. They can learn from each other and complement.
Now that sounds like a very plausible way. Unfortunately, of course, they're locked in a massive price war against each other. So I'm not sure how much learning is being done at this moment.
Yes, yes, yes. They just compete fiercely in the market because the Chinese EV players are really just take advantage of the technology advancement. So that's amazing. But I think the time will prove everything. It takes time to just eye on the future, not just right at the moment. So as a brand strategist, we always eye on the future, not at the moment. We have long-term visions to guide us.
I think also that is a great place to end this week's episode when you talk about the future, because I know that next week in the following episode, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about your forecasts and predictions on trends in China. So this may be a
Great.
good place to take the pause. And then the next time we come back together, we'll have a conversation about what you think is in the pipeline as far as consumer culture and trends and branding in China.
I'm looking forward to.
Great. Well, thank you, Grace, for joining again this week for part 3. Great conversation, an eye opener for people who follow the industry, the auto industry, specifically the developments in China. And I look forward to then talking again and hearing what you have to say about the future.
Yes, see you next week. Thanks for
Great.
having me,
That sounds
John.
good. You're very welcome.
Thanks.
To our listeners, thank you very much for joining again this week on the Auto Ethnographer. I hope it's been a great journey learning about the consumer in China and their perception of the Chinese new energy vehicles or electric vehicles. We'll be back again with another episode next week. Until then, keep on driving. Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Auto Ethnographer and leave us a rating or comment. For more information, visit our website at auto-ethnographer.com. You can also follow on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.